Hi, my name's Ethan Thompson, and today I'm going to be talking about China and their social credit system. As a background, a lot of people have heard about the Chinese social credit system, and there's a lot of words that are thrown around about it. People think that it's going to be a tool for um, surveillance, for punishing citizens for acting out of line, thought crimes. People paint a very Orwellian picture of its use as a tool, and um, the tool very much has the capability to do this. This bottom quote here: all aspects of our lives, transactional, educational, medical, legal, recreational, and consumer, leave a digital footprint. And social credit is about integrating and mobilizing that data to increase social and economic stability. And even this quote, which is from a Chinese author writing from China, um, they even write, of course, it is the party state that maintains and mediates access to this data. So there is some level of truth to the fact that this could be used as a tool for surveillance and monitoring citizens. However, uh, there's a different, and I'm sorry for skipping around, but the Mercator Institute for China Studies, right here, they're a think tank in Germany, and they stated that really this tool is a little bit more reasonable upon further inspection. Um, it 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 seems to be more of a tool mainly for economic regulation of companies. It's meant to catch bad actors and keep a log of companies that don't have the consumer's interests in mind, or they're people who are just kind of breaking the law. It helps keep track of bad actors in the economic sector. Um, and several of the pilot programs have decided to switch to encouragement only schemes and opt-in schemes. So it's a little bit more reasonable upon Mercator. Mer, is it Mercator? I apologize. Uh, yeah, Mercator's picture that they paint for it. But of course, this program is not finished, and it could very much continue down a more reasonable path or a more like dystopian Orwellian path. So now that we've explored the background of that a little bit, um, we can explore some perspectives. Once again, we don't know how the system would actually be implemented yet because it does not exist in a official capacity yet. So there's still room for it to change and evolve and grow, or even just to be scrapped altogether. But if we did imagine it as a citizen surveillance and control tool, um, from a utilitarian perspective, it's pretty easy to see that this would be an unethical decision to make based on the outcome of a Orwellian dystopian state. Um, it's a pretty bleak picture, and not only would this negatively affect Chinese citizens, which is like over 1 billion people. It's like a seventh of the entire world, but it could also be used by other um, countries around the world for suppressing and oppressing their citizenry. Um, However, from a social contract theory, I think it's very important to note that as a Western, uh, from a Western standpoint, this is especially strange to us because in Eastern cultures, well, more specifically in Chinese culture, the Chinese people have historically been more willing to sacrifice freedom for security. Um, it's one of the reasons their state is so centralized. Um, but despite the fact that the Chinese may accept increased security for the cost of freedom. I don't think, a exaggerated dystopian society is acceptable, even still. Even if they think it's normal, it's at that point, if it's dystopian, I mean, it's probably not acceptable at all. So for a second scenario, this is probably a more realistic outcome for the social credit system, which is just business regulation. Um, from a utilitarian point of view, and once more underline, it's hard to predict the future. We don't know what they're really going to use this for, or if it will ever be used at all. But th- this could have positive impacts on business and consumer safety in China, which is a potential good outcome. So if this were used in a manner that promoted healthy big business practices, um, that this could be a useful tool for the state and the citizenry. Um, the social contract theory side of it is, once again, just to reiterate, Chinese people have historically sacrificed freedom for security, and as long as this trend continues, and this is the general consensus of the population in China, um, and they don't reject the social contract that they have with their government, um, if they're willing to sacrifice more freedom in return for security, then it is acceptable. Um, so if we were to see, to conclude, we can't tell the future. We can consider the possibilities. If China uses a dystopian or Orwellian approach to the social credit system, this is unlikely to provide benefit to the citizenry, which it would likely only benefit those at the top in the political structure. Um, and it would also lead the world down a path where more dictatorships have these kinds of tools to control their populations. So from that standpoint, um, but it would be unethical on a social contract theory standpoint and from a utilitarian standpoint. But if China were to use such a system for consumer safety and business regulation, it could provide tangible benefit, which, from a utilitarian standpoint, as long as there aren't other factors that provide a negative, um, this would be an ethical decision to use such a tool. Um, but I would probably say that it would require that, or it would be best that it didn't further tighten the grip of the Chinese Communist Party on its citizenry. Here are my references. Um, I hope I cited the images correctly because that part was a little confusing. But yeah, happy holidays.